Hi everyone, I'm Shikha. In this video, we are going to discuss about networking. We are living in a connected world. We are connected through Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and whatnot. But it poses a dilemma. We are connected to so many, yet are we really connected to any? Just being connected is not enough because networking has many other facets to it. And that's where the art of networking plays a pivotal role. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Professor Vinay Nangia, who has years of academic and corporate experience. He has mentored many budding and successful professionals. Networking is his hobby and passion. So let's learn from him why networking matters and how we can work on it, or better still, make it work for us. Welcome, Professor Nangia. Thank you so much for taking out time for this conversation. I've always been following your blogs, which are very interesting, and this made me think about having a conversation for our viewers' benefit. So, to begin with, I have certain questions in my mind regarding a very important topic, which is networking. So, is networking an art or a science, and why do you think it is important in today's day and age?
Thank you, Dr. Shikha. I did write some 3-4 blogs way back in 2013,
Mhm.
and you can get them on my website, many..Com.
Yes,
So your first question is networking a science or it is an art?
yes.
And let me tell you, in 1990s, when internet came into being and IT was, reaching new heights. That time, three terms were used very commonly. One was hardware, then software, and then networking.
Hmm.
And networking was used in the context of joining or connecting devices like modem with desktop or with a printer and connecting 2 or 3 or 4 devices together, and that was
Mhm.
called networking.
Mhm.
And that was in the form of local area network, or it was personal area network, local area network, wide area network,
Mhm.
metropolitan area network, etc., depending upon the size of the network. So this networking was basically to enhance the efficiency, improve the quality of information and services by joining the devices.
Mhm.
That was the purpose of networking, and also reduce the cost.
Mhm.
And later on, now more recently, in last 2 decades or so, this term is more commonly used in the context of corporate world, in the context of social world,
Mhm.
and people have alumni network, people have college time friend network, people have conferences for networking,
Mhm.
people have networking dinners, and those kind of things. So the connotation has shifted in the current context, and it is more in a social and professional context, but not
Mhm.
necessarily reflecting the computer devices being connected.
Technical jargon.
So in the first, yeah, very true.
Yeah.
In the first sense, it was a science, it is a science. So
Mhm.
networking is a science
Mhm.
when it is used in the context of computer devices, IT purposes. But in the second context, networking is in the social context. So it is an art, and it is an art to be practiced. So it could be called a practice
Yeah.
as well as art.
So according to you, what are those requirements to network well with people, and why should one network?
That's very important, and that is a prerequisite, because unless a person knows
Mhm.
why does he want to do networking, there's no point to doing networking.
Mhm.
So one has to be clear, why is one wanting to do networking.
Mhm.
A student of final year BTech or MBA final year may like to do networking for the purpose of getting good job.
Mhm.
So if your networking is proper, whether through LinkedIn or through whatever resources,
Mhm.
then you are doing networking for getting a better job in addition to what you will get from the campus placement.
Mhm.
So your purpose is to get a better job, and LinkedIn is one of the such networking
Mhm.
sites available for
Platforms.
this
Yeah.
purpose.
Mhm.
But a person who's happily married and well settled in his job, and he is enjoying his family life, he is not looking for a change of job. So his purpose of networking may be to increase his sphere of influence, whether in professional world, like a chartered accountant may get connected to all the chartered accountants in the city, or the chartered accountants group who are specifically purposed on, say, corporate social responsibility or corporate governance, or the chartered accountant may get connected at the national level. So the purposes could be different. A teacher may like to get connected for the purposes of attending conferences. So the teacher's purpose could be completely different. So one has to define and decide what is the purpose of networking, and thereafter one has to strategize as to uh, where do you
Why
want to
they?
network, how much do you want to network, how will you network. So unless there's a strategy to do networking, this will not be effective. And then comes obviously the various tools and techniques of doing networking. That's the last thing. And maybe the last thing is what not to do in networking. So that's how it
Yeah.
evolves.
So, sir, as you just currently mentioned about platforms like LinkedIn, etc., there are many social media platforms. So, how effective these platforms are in current times, and how one can make best use of these platforms?
See, it depends again. If I am on Facebook for the purpose of generally getting connected, but with no specific purpose,
Hmm.
then maybe I can go comfortably up to 5,000 connections, which is the maximum permitted in a single Facebook
Hmm.
website.
Hmm.
And in my website, all kinds of people may be there. That includes my friends, relatives, students, all kinds of people, my previous employer, etc., etc. So that is a general purpose website, Facebook, as it is designed to be.
Hmm.
But there are specific purpose websites like LinkedIn is for
Hmm.
professional contacts.
Hmm.
Now, are you using it for professional context to enhance your visibility? Could be a different call for a well-settled executive, or you are wanting to use LinkedIn for getting your, next job. So your objective could be totally different. So if
Hmm.
your objective is to get a job, so my suggestion is one should take premium membership
Hmm.
because then your visibility also enhances, and people realize your seriousness for looking for jobs.
Hmm.
So LinkedIn is another very important. I remember 10 years back, I was in USA. So I was told one third of all jobs in USA were sourced through LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Even in India today, HR people spend a lot of
Yes.
time on this website in order to find the right people.
Hmm.
And these websites, whether it is Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, please remember a person who is looking for a job has to remain a bit serious and professional, and don't play around unnecessarily because whosoever is tracking you will track you on all your social websites.
True.
So when you look at the purpose, you also have to look at the seriousness of
The
your effort,
platform. Hmm.
and you have to clean up your Facebook then. Maybe you create another Facebook, or maybe you delete the websites, delete the post, which were in lighter vein, and a lot of people do all kinds of, photographs, family photographs being, so it depends on the purpose. And you have to, if you are looking for a job, you have to clean up your Facebook as well. That's what
Hmm.
I want to say.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
so that's
Uh,
it.
Sir, you being a senior professional, what do you expect from people when they reach out to you? Let's say a student or a young corporate professional reaches you. So, what are those things which you are expecting out of them?
See, the first level of communication is very important and critical.
Hmm.
So a student who approaches me and approaches me through maybe LinkedIn or through Messenger
Hmm.
and asks for my phone number, I hold a poor impression about him because my phone number is available on LinkedIn and Facebook both. So
True.
that means he has not done due diligence. So that's a reflection on the student. That's number one. But
Hmm.
I would say 90 to 99% people do ask for phone number without exerting themselves to find it out for themselves from
Hmm.
my profile either on LinkedIn or from Facebook. So
Hmm.
that is for me that is a checking point.
Hmm.
So that means the person has not done due diligence. That's number one.
Hmm. Hmm.
Number two, how does a person introduce himself to me for the first time?
Hmm.
If he is a known student, I mean, like I would have known thousands of students. So if a person says, Sir Chetan this side, so for me, Chetan, there are 7 Chetans I know: Chetan Gupta, Chetan Goyal,
Hmm.
Chetan Khurana, Chetan Kapoor, Chetan X, Chetan Y. And then I have to ask this question, Chetan what? So that's a poor reflection on the quality of communication. So when somebody reaches out, somebody should at least tell the full name. That's the bare minimum. But I would say 90% of the people don't do that. That is one. Second thing is when you introduce yourself, you should also, before taking an appointment, you should also say what is the purpose of introduction. And why are you reaching out is one, and then ask for the convenience of the other person to give time. Very often I get requests from the student, sir, I am going to be free only tomorrow evening, so can I meet you at 6 p.m.? No, it's not. It's a reflection on your personality that you are free, so I should be free.
I should be.
Now, this is a very bad way of approaching out, which is very common again.
Yeah.
So the person should have the courtesy of saying that, sir, kindly let me know what is your convenience. If it may not be inconvenient for you, can we talk at 6 p.m. tomorrow? So you're telling the same thing, but you're telling it in a very decent manner. So this first impression is very important. So in networking, your first opening of dialogue in conversation, or your first email, or your first SMS, that is very important. So I would consider that where one should apply one's mind. And I would say 90% or more people don't apply their mind when they reach out for the first time. They take it very lightly and they will use any method of communication and speak out anything they like, because they are concentrated on what they want to extract out of you. They're not putting you in place. They're not putting themselves in place.
True.
They're not putting the context in place, which should come second, not first.
Yeah.
The person you are communicating is first in the reference, not second. People take themselves to be the first, context to be the second, and the people they are contacting to be the last. So that's a very wrong chronology.
So there are many people among us who are very introvert in their approach. So are there any tips for these people who can, how to start the conversation with anybody if they want to?
I appreciate introvert people do have certain disadvantages. For example, in first face-to-face meeting, they are at a disadvantage because they don't know what to say. Introvert people find it difficult to initiate a dialogue or a conversation. So that's a disadvantage. So this advantage is very obvious in social settings like party and family function and those kind of contexts. But this can be made good in non-personal contexts like social media, like websites, like writing letters. So they can make good this disadvantage, and they can develop the intimacy of a relationship through non-personal mediums, non-physical personal mediums, and then catch up with that. So examples could be, you should again identify who do you want to network with. So for example, you want to network with your uncle who retired from Oriental Fire and General Insurance Company as managing director, and you have not spoken to him for last 5 or 10 years because he was too busy in his affair and you were too young at that time. Now you want to contact with this person because he's a resourceful person and you want to do networking, and he's your uncle. So I would suggest a person of that stature will definitely be using mobile phone, and a person of that stature is likely to be using WhatsApp and email, in any case email. So I would suggest you write an email because of the relationship you have, and don't send SMS or don't put it on WhatsApp to start with. So when you write email, you have more space to open up and talk about yourself. But before that, whenever you address to anybody, especially on email or normal letter, the first opening sentence or the opening paragraph, you must give respect and importance to the person you are addressing. It should never start with I have done this. It should not be talking more about you. It should be talking about that person. So if you're writing to your uncle, you must acknowledge that he has had a wonderful career path in his life, and he has had achievements which you can find out from the Google, surfing. So you should start with that first acknowledge the gentleman is great. So whichever way. Then second, you say who you are. And then third, you should say, which is very important and which is a very noticeable thing, particularly in India, that you need advice and guidance. Now, this is
True.
very important.
That is very important.
So, one of my friends, I think for 25 to 30 years, he's been fooling around with me by just picking up the phone and saying, Nangia ji, आपको advice चाहिए. आपसे advice चाहिए. Now, in India, everybody is ready to give advice free of cost.
Free of cost.
And everybody feels very honored that somebody has asked me for advice. So like I have got a couple of jobs to this man in India and overseas just because he opened up very nicely. Sir, I need your advice. So I need your guidance and advice is a very good
Very good way.
thing to start with people who are much more senior and elder to you. So again, this example I've taken. Likewise, you have to see in which context you are approaching whom and how to approach. So that is the way.
Sir, so in your years of experience, what do you think? Whether it's the quality which is important or the quantity?
I don't think it's not a question of quantity and quality. It is a question of your purpose and your objective. For example, for me, networking is a hobby. Okay. So for me, there's nothing like purpose because I'm not looking for any job. I'm not looking for consultancy. For me, networking is a way to remain connected with lots of people. So I use all channels of communication, whether LinkedIn, whether Facebook, whether Twitter, whether Instagram, whether email. But that's my case.
Yes.
But this is not true for others. You see, a person who's a 32-year-old successful business executive, his purpose today is not to get a job. He's already well settled. So his purpose may be to expand his sphere of influence, whether through professionals, whether through his college time friends, whether through his relatives. So if he likes to do networking, he must use this time to do networking, though his immediate purpose or objective is not clear. Still he can do it. Now take the case of a final year student of BTech or MBA who has to get a job. For him, the purpose is to get a job. So his objective of doing networking is completely different. So his approach, his planning, his methodology, and the kind of people he wants to reach about is going to be completely different.
True.
So one has to know what is it that you want to do with networking and then plan it accordingly.
Yeah. Sir, there are times when we connect with people and then we lose out on the connect. We don't know how to build up on the relationship later on. So in those circumstances, what one should do?
See, I tell you, relationships are of very, very different nature. For example, if I have a childhood friend, I have not met him for 10 years, it does not make any difference. When we will meet the way we meet. So that's one relation. Second is, as far as your relatives is concerned, again, out of your relatives, out of 3 uncles, you may like one uncle, you may not like the other 2. Because they are people who are always critical, who are cribbing and crying and complaining. So you don't like them and you better don't like them, so don't connect with them. Because when you connect with them, connect with people who are positive, who are encouraging, who are motivating. So one quality of connecting with people is to identify right and good people you would like to connect with. I would think you should not lose connect with such people in general. That's number one. And there are various ways of keeping the connection alive. There are various methods of doing it. Email is one of the simplest because it is non-intrusive. You can send any email to anybody at any point of time. He may read, he may not read, he may respond, he may not respond. So it's non-intrusive. But SMS is intrusive. Phone call is very intrusive. Guy is sitting in an important meeting and you are making phone call without taking appointment. He may disconnect once, he may disconnect twice, and third time he will completely disconnect you forever if he is an important person, because he'll think that you are a fool who does not know that I am such a busy and big person and this person is giving phone call without even knowing that I could be in a meeting. So who are you connecting with? So your question was that how to remain connected with people.
How to build up a relationship.
So long-term relationships you should build up with person who are good, positive, and who can carry you through in life. Okay. So one level is who are those people you want to have relationships. It's not everybody that you would like to have relationship.
Absolutely.
Second is some of the people where you find out people are very transaction oriented. Their job is done and thereafter they don't care for you. So you may like to drop some such connections, because in any case, nurturing, developing and cultivating relationships through networking takes time. It takes time, and if you want to develop serious kind of networking, you will have to invite people, you will have to attend parties, you'll have to go for functions, you'll have to write letters. Everything takes time. So get out of people you don't want to connect with. So that's the second thing you have to do. Third thing is, who are the kind of people who you would like to remain in the long term connected. As I gave you the example of email, email is a very good method of remaining connected with such people. Yet another method is to remember people on special occasions, like somebody has got promotion, you should connect at that time. Somebody has got birthday, marriage anniversary, or whatever. So you can catch up where you have lost the touch there. Okay? And catching up, you got to be different from everybody else. So you must buy out a very big card, like A4 size wedding anniversary card, and make beautiful things on top of it and send it by courier to that gentleman, because nobody else sends it these days. So that is how you revive your
personal touch.
Exactly. So you have to likewise find out ways and means of reviving contacts where you have lost. But where you have to nurture long-term contacts, you must remain in touch, because out of sight is out of mind, for sure. So that should not be done.
So any example which you remember where your student has done something different to approach?
Yeah, I have learned a lot of things from my students. The first one I remember is before WhatsApp era came. I'm talking about late 90s. And or even early 2000, because I think late 90s we did not have smartphones. So early 2000, this everybody used to send good morning and good night messages. This particular student will always send good afternoon message. So good morning and good night, you get 20, 30, 40 messages every day, so it gets lost. Good afternoon you can't miss. So that is a lesson for me, that you should strike out in a manner that you get noticed. So that was a learning for me. Another was, as I was telling you, I have learned from students to give very big, huge greeting cards, whether for birthday or marriage anniversary, because my students started doing it with me. So that was a lesson for me. So on Facebook and on WhatsApp, everybody tells you, happy birthday and things like that, happy marriage anniversary or whatever. So you have to learn the methods which are more personal. This you learn from others, like I learn from my students. So you learn a lot of things from others.
Yes.
Another method I learned was, this gentleman was my batchmate in the bank, but he was a batch senior. He was actually schoolmate, classmate of my elder brother. And he is a very senior investment banker in Singapore, and he is retired. He is a Singapore citizen. So he sends very important and very, very, nice emails, like taken from Harvard Business Review, Economist, Fortune, Forbes, Time, Wire, and, magazines like National Geographic and Washington Post, and some of the best book excerpts and old Bollywood, Hollywood songs, and, you name it, and he has it. And he sends almost one or two every day to me. And that is his hobby, and that's the way he gets connected with people. So I picked up this tip from him. So I also sent, on an average, I think I send the email to this kind of email. I forward to something like 40 to 50 persons every day. And that includes some of my students whom I want to remain connected with, some of my friends, and some of my colleagues, and the people I want to remain connected with. I send this kind of forward email to them. Now I know for sure 90 to 99% of the people don't acknowledge any of such emails, because this comes every day and this comes in routine. But I get noticed. They know I am alive. So if the need be, they can connect back with me. And not only that, if I have any work with any one of those 40, 50 at any point of time, if I approach them, I am very much in touch with them. So this forwarding of email, which could be of very, important topics. For example, on COVID-19. So sometimes you get very good write-up from Lancet, which you are advancing. And this is highly appreciated, may not be acknowledged. So what serves your purpose, you have to look for that kind of thing which keeps your relationship and networking on and does not let you go off the track.
Very nice. So, are there any don'ts which people should keep in mind when they are approaching anyone, seniors or maybe the colleagues?
Yeah, there could be number of them, and it could be from the airport to the kind of message you send to connect with somebody. A
Hmm.
student sending a message to me saying, I am Chetan, sir, I want to meet you tomorrow. I am free only at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Can I meet you? Can I come to your house? Now, this is a message I am getting.
Hmm.
I get very offended because I don't know, the guy is not even writing his full name. That's number
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
So I know so many Chetans, and who is this Chetan? I don't know.
Hmm.
Number two, he wants me to meet him at his convenience, and this is the first time I'm meeting a student whom I don't know. So the chances are 90% chances are such messages are not responded. Now the guy on the other side thinks that it is the fault of the other party who has not responded. What he is
Hmm.
not realizing is he
Hmm.
does not know how to write a message. Likewise, when you are at the airport, you are trying to, you are trying to talk to a person who's sending important SMS to somebody, and you are intruding into his privacy, and you want
Hmm.
to open a conversation. So you don't even know that you're doing a wrong thing. So there are a lot of things, and I would think the major mistake people make is the first time connectivity.
Hmm.
So the first time when they are approaching, they don't know whether they should send an email, whether they should send an SMS, whether they
Hmm.
should write a
Hmm.
WhatsApp message, whether they should connect through LinkedIn or through Gmail. Uh, who is the person on the other end, and what is the proper, pathway to reach out to him is one.
Hmm.
Second is what is the message you are giving to the other person. Okay. Third is how are you introducing yourself.
Hmm. That's
The
very
very
important.
important. And I would say 90 to 95% of the mistakes I get at this level. So this is something I would say they are the don'ts for networking. And also other don'ts include that if you can't nurture a relationship, if you can't maintain a contact, forget about networking. Don't talk about networking. Because
So,
then uh,
yeah.
you are a transaction oriented person. Whenever you work with somebody, reach out to that person. Either the person will work or not work for you, but
Hmm.
that's not called networking. Yes.
Absolutely.